Hmm. Hmm. Welcome back, my loves. I'm Maria Chowdhury, and in the previous video, I introduced you to the new landscape that we're traversing as women, and to the concept of cultivating these three power centers. And we started to tap into what is feminine power. And in this video, we're going to go deeper into the first power center, which we call power center 1, so we can break through our hidden blocks and our limiting beliefs. Because really what we're going to, what we're becoming is this new way of being, right? Who we were, we're not who we were, and we're not quite fully able to be who we're going to be. And so we're in this liminal space. And feminine power addresses these blocks that are keeping us from being able to fully become and fully express and fully live our potentialities. And it helps identify our old stories. And I feel like even more importantly, it helps us know how these old stories are dictating the way that we show up in life. And it shows us, feminine power shows us how to reach out into the vast cosmos and into the unseen realms and into the hidden worlds and into that vastness, and then receive support that's all around us, even if it's invisible and we don't really see evidence for it there. We can receive that support. And feminine power reintroduces us to our own inner wisdom and teaches us and models for us and shows us how to trust our inner guidance. And it gives us the courage and the confidence to take risk and be who we sense and feel, who we are in our clearest moments, who we could be once we break through these limiting beliefs. And so Qigong is pronounced Qigong, is an energy work practice. It's literally translated as energy work. And Qigong is an embodiment practice that supports us to embody these new ways of being. So feminine power opens our minds and our spirit to these new ways of being, and then Qigong helps us embody these new ways of being. Like I said, feminine power expands us into our brilliance, right? It encodes us. It shows us that we're encoded in this like amazing experience to fully become our destiny. And then Qigong helps us embody these codes as a form of wisdom and supports us to navigate our lives and to grow into our highest potentials. So the two of them so beautifully support one another. And if you're in a place in your life where you might be struggling in areas of love, seeking love outside yourself, or struggling in areas of feeling like you don't belong, or into connection, or in an inability to fully express your creativity, or you sense and feel you have so much to offer, but you're not quite sure how you can contribute. So all of those are in the areas in the realm of the feminine. And so your primary barrier to success in those areas is not outside of you. It's inside. It's a core belief that you have about yourself and about others and about the possibilities, or really the non-possibilities, of what you can have in your life. And this forms a core identity. And unless we can find what that is and learn to break free from it, no matter how you try, how hard you try, and all the things, all the strategies you try, you won't be able to be successful in this realm, you know? So if the nature of what you're wanting to create is in this realm of the feminine power, we have to go inside. We have to identify your core beliefs. And we have to see what this core identity is. And then we have to start questioning ourselves. And one of the questions you can ask is, who or what am I blaming as the reason I can't be successful in this area of my life? Who or what am I blaming as the reason that I can't be successful in this area of my life? And if you're like the vast majority of us, you likely blame your circumstances for your struggle. Like, I don't have enough time, I don't have enough money, I I need more education. Um, oh, there's not enough good men out there or people out there that I want to date, or the economy's bad, I don't know how I'm going to make the money. So we're blaming those external circumstances, right? So whatever it is, whatever your story is, the story is about your circumstances. And if that's the case, you're never going to find your power when you're blaming the circumstances outside of you. Because here we are. We're brilliant, smart, sophisticated, spiritually savvy women, right? You can recognize your own limiting patterns. You even know where they came from. So, for example, you can be like, oh, yeah, I know I have low self-esteem, right? I have this belief or I have that belief. Oh, there's my father wound again. There's my mother wound again. There's my sister wound again. Oh, I behave this way because of this. That's my father wound. That's because my abandonment wound, right? Does any of that sound familiar? But this just becomes another form of blame, right? Because in spite of all the psychological analysis of ourselves or otherwise, we haven't been able to break through the barriers. We recognize that that's the abandonment wound or that's the father wound. But if we haven't been able to break through from them, they have kept us from realizing the things that we most desire. And so the truth is, life is not happening to you. Life is responding to you. And inside the core beliefs and assumptions about who we are or what is or isn't possible for you, we show up and we behave in ways that generate and reinforce the evidence of these stories. Yeah, I want to say that again. So what happens is we're showing up and we behave in ways that generate and reinforce the evidence for these stories. Because I want you to really get this. Life is mirroring and matching how you're showing up. And in these areas of our lives that we want to create in, our love, our creativity, our contribution, our prosperity, our spirituality, in these areas, we show up in the parts of ourselves that are wounded and that are stuck in the old stories, and they're stuck in powerlessness, and they're stuck in limitation. So, in other words, you can't attract love on top of a deep inner sense of feeling of being unlovable. You can't generate success on top of feeling that you're unworthy, right? You can't impact the world with your contributions if you secretly fear that you have nothing worthwhile to contribute, right? So this is where Power Center 1 comes in. It's about forging an unshakable connection, a bond between the weakest, most wounded parts of yourselves with the part of yourself that actually knows the truth of who you are, that actually knows your power and knows your essence. So the parts of you that are wise, that have access to perspective and to resources and can show up fully and powerfully for other people. So what happens, we're generally in this wounded place, not so much generating from this powerful place. So when we discover that you can create a connection between these two parts of yourselves, then you can effortlessly start to show up in ways that are in alignment with the deeper truth of who you are. So then what happens is these inner barriers that you've created, they start to open and expand. And your life starts to reorganize and reorient around this alignment. And others start to reflect and mirror back to you the truth of who you are. And you suddenly realize that your old story has been around for a very long time, probably decades. And it's been shaping your worldview. And it's not true. So I want to share with you a personal story of how the gifts of unlocking Power Center 1 has supported me in my life. Okay, so after retiring from midwifery in 2018, I was really struggling to get traction of the area of contribution in my career because I really still sense and felt like I have this potential in me. I'm a pretty good teacher. I can serve women and I see their potentials and I just know that I can support them into trusting their body, trusting their wisdom. And I know that they, if they connected more with the plants and with Qigong and with herbs and with their breath, that they would just feel so much better. And so I had all this desire to offer myself. Yet my own inner barrier and my limiting belief was that I had already achieved my greatest work. That really was all downhill from here. I mean, there in that time, I couldn't see anything that seemed more significant or even closely as significant as my work as being a midwife. Right? So I thought about I'd start teaching again. And then COVID happened, so I went online. And so for nearly a year, I created Facebook Live videos. And I was super consistent every Thursday at noon. I planned, I prepared all these videos. They were well educated, they were referenced, they were researched, they were valuable, they were content rich talks about herbs, midwifery, women's wisdom, Qigong, feminine power, all the good stuff, right? And while I was doing this, I felt really good and creative because I had generated some valuable material and I was showing up. But on the other hand, I felt incredibly unappreciated because I was showing up live every week and hardly anybody else would show up. And when they did show up, they were not engaging with me. And I felt like I was just standing in a room talking to myself. And it just was like my voice was going out into the void without any sort of reciprocity. And so I went from feeling like I'm a valuable teacher and a community member to feeling really irrelevant and not respected and not like I wasn't able to connect with who I was talking to, right? And so I had this whole story now about how people didn't care People didn't care. They didn't care what I had to offer. They didn't care what I had to say. They didn't care about me. If I was there showing up in the middle of the night to support them to give birth, then they cared because it served them. But when it showed up for me, they didn't care. So I felt really rejected, and just I felt rejected on so many different levels, and disrespected. And so that sucked. Actually, it really sucked. And I started practicing Power Center 1 because I was like, life, I know this. Life is responding to me. Life is responding to me. And so I was dropped into, wow, life is responding to me. And no one is watching me because they're at work in the middle of the day at 12 p.m. on Thursday. And no one is interacting with me because I'm teaching on a topic that would be distracting. They would be interrupting me if they interacted, because I was not providing an interactive and transformational content, nor was I. So what I was doing, I wasn't providing interactional content, and I wasn't providing it at a time when people could be there. So instead, what I was doing was lecturing in the middle of a workday. And even though I felt like I was showing up live on Facebook and Instagram every week, actually, I was really still hiding. I showed up at a time when no one was available and talked at them rather than with them. And then I was blaming them for my lack of success. I would hide in plain sight, and I would keep speaking louder and louder week after week, and still no one responded, until I realized that I was creating this experience. I was continuously in the story that no one cares about me or what I have to say. You see, the limiting belief that I was showing up with each week was that I don't matter. I told myself the story that I know they don't care about me because I know they don't care about me because they didn't interact with me or leave comments on my video. Right? So I created evidence that I know this to be true now. And so through these power practices, through these feminine power practices, I got to reconnect with the deeper truth of who I am, and then got to take responsibility for my actions, and then began to show up in new ways that were reflective of this deeper truth, so that I was able to break through my inner barriers. So the deeper truth for me is that I matter, and what I have to share is valuable, and that people do care about me. And as I stand in that truth, as I stand in the truth that I matter, I have valuable things to share, and that people care about me, then I can take responsibility for presenting myself and transmitting my message in a way that can be received by others. So I brought the part of me, that weak, wounded, rejected part of me that felt like I don't matter, into relationship with the deeper, wiser part of me. And then from there, I showed up and I generated my own visibility. And I took responsibility for doing this. Right? And so now what does that look like? So now I'm facilitating temples, and I'm facilitating our free journey that we're going to go on together to call forth your feminine power. And I'm facilitating a 10-week journey to consciously choose your authentic path, where we merge, we bring in feminine power and we bring in Qigong, and so we can awaken as women. And if you're watching this video, then you're here with me and you're receiving this message in a way that is in alignment for the both of us. So, of course, as I was creating this curriculum and getting all my marketing material ready, and I'm making these videos, there is a part of me that's nervous that no one's going to show up or participate. But that's my challenge. I know this is my challenge. This is my growth edge. And so I have to show up in ways that are consistent with the deeper truth of who I am. And that means letting go of the old way of being, of playing small, of hiding, and just talking at the camera, right? So in order for this journey that we're taking together to be meaningful and rewarding, I'm going to have to extend myself, right? To be a gracious host and to create and hold space with integrity and to midwife you and to hold you in sacredness and integrity, right? And so that you have trust in this experience so that you can then birth your highest potentialities into the highest possibilities, so that you can emerge as your true self, as you can break through these limiting beliefs and step into the truth of who you are, right? So I have to stand and model this in my truth so that I can hold you in your truth, so we can do this together. And as I've been starting to live this deeper truth, I do have to say that I know that, like I've said before, that what I have to say matters and that people care. And as I've started to do this, what happened, another change that happened, it's pretty remarkable, really, is I've been practicing Qigong for years, all by myself. I have a solo practice pretty much, and I would make it available for people to show up on Friday mornings. And oftentimes one woman came, she was wonderful, but often no one would come. There was many sessions I would show up and no one was there. And then I started to really step into this deeper truth of who I am. And my practice, my physical practice has not changed, but how I show up, how I talk, how I present myself has changed because it's in alignment. And now we have a group of women that practice every week, right? They come and they practice every week. And even though just one person was showing up, when she shared with me like how important this practice was, it was so important to her. It's what kept her emotionally stable and healthy and grounded, that she was so built up with her power that she was then able to go and stand at pipelines and to honor the earth and to honor and to listen to the earth and to listen to herself as an activist. And so she was now able to show up out in the world as her best self. And these women are showing up, and we are co-creating this amazing group of women, and they're up-leveling, and they're creating temples, and they're birthing their possibilities and potentials into being. And so I went from doing a solo practice to now standing in community with women, co-creating. And also Birdsong Botanicals is growing, and through this work now new products, new things I've been wanting to create for a long time are now just being able to be birthed through me because I'm in this alignment space. And so those are some examples of how it's unlocking feminine power and unlocking the power center one has showed up in my life. So now it's your turn. It's your turn, because I could not generate my contribution on top of I don't matter. Nobody cares about me. How am I, what can I generate on top of that? Right? So it's your turn. I want you to think about an area of your life where you're feeling stuck, right? And just kind of drop in and take a deep breath and connect with an area of your life that you're feeling stuck. And I want you to ask yourself, who or what are you blaming for your situation? What is the old story here? Now, taking a deep breath, and this is just a simple example and we're going to fast track through this. So take a deep breath and let that go and look for what is actually happening inside that story. What is the pattern that keeps happening in this area of your life? How are you showing up? Because my pattern was that I would hide and make it seem like I was available, but I wasn't. So be honest with yourself. What is actually happening? And how do you show up in a way that creates evidence for your story and about why you can't have what you want in this area? And see if you can connect to the emotion that's coming up in the midst of this old pattern. There's an emotion there. Try to connect with it. And once you can find it, place one hand on your body and name this emotion as an I am statement. Could be, for example, I don't feel safe when I express myself. I'm too much. I'm not enough. I'm unlovable. I'm not wanted. Whatever is coming, let it be. And take a nice deep breath and feel into this emotion, because there's a core identity here that's stuck in the old story of who you are and what's possible or not possible for you to have. And now there's another part of you that already knows you're whole and powerful. It's that part of you that shows up for your loved ones. It's that part of you that shows up in the moments that you feel the most confident, the most authentic. Now, that part of you could be showing up when you're doing your sacred work, when you're being with your family, or when you're doing something that inspires you, like making art, making love, being in the garden, creating altars. So connect with that most powerful part of yourself. And imagine that you're bringing yourself into relationship with that younger, more wounded, more scared part of yourself. Imagine that you're bringing your wounded part and your powerful part of yourselves together. And take a nice deep breath as you're bringing them together, coming into relationship with them. And so now there starts to be something emerging. There's a deeper truth here. Can you feel it? Can you sense that? So, what is emerging? Because the deeper truth is you were born to experience and express great love. The deeper truth is that you are here to make a difference with your gifts and talents. The deeper truth is that you deserve to be financially supported for the value and contribution that you bring. And here's the key to releasing the old pattern of behavior and to forever emerge past that limiting belief and to shatter those inner barriers and to break through those inner barriers. How would you show up if you were to be in alignment with yourself in this deeper truth? Imagine how you would show up if you were in alignment with yourself, with this deeper truth. And really breathing into that and feeling and sensing that as you come into alignment and sensing and feeling into whatever shows up for you. Beautiful. And for me, the deeper truth is that I have something valuable to contribute and that my ideas are important, right? And even though they're imperfect, even though I'm a work in progress, even though half the time I'm just figuring it out, right? They're still valuable. And that I could be visible and I could share my ideas and share my contributions, and I can be compensated well for it, even though it's a work in progress and these videos are not going to be perfect, right? So that's how I can see myself acting as if I was in alignment with this deeper truth. And so here we are. We have to learn how to forge this bond between these two parts of ourselves, right? In order for us to midwife and birth ourselves into greatness. Because it's pretty clear we cannot create or manifest or generate on top of our old story and the old ways that we've been showing up. But once we learn to forge this union, this connection, this bond between the two parts of ourselves, and we start to show up in ways that reflect the truth of who we are, then everything changes and aligns. So thank you, my loves. I invite you to watch the next video when we unlock Power Center 2.